TypeScript can catch many bugs, but arrays and objects still create failures that surprise junior developers every day. In this video, we will debug 13 real mistakes, see the broken code, and fix each one with safer TypeScript patterns. Let's start with a bug that appears whenever data arrives later than expected, reading an array item that is not there. A recommendation widget may receive an empty list, especially for a new user. We grab products at index 0 and immediately ask for its name. Now we run the script and watch the runtime result. Let's unpack that error. An array lookup can return undefined when the index is missing, so JavaScript has no object whose name property it can read. Now let's fix it by storing the indexed value and using optional chaining with a fallback. We run the updated script, and the empty state becomes a useful message instead of a crash. Now let's show the best practice. Enable no unchecked index access and validate indexed values at application boundaries. It makes this risky lookup visible in TypeScript before it becomes a production bug. Next, let's catch two array methods that quietly modify shared data and cause surprising UI state changes. A dashboard often sorts orders for display while keeping the API response for other UI features. Here, the dashboard variable shares the same array, so we sort it in place. Now we run the script and inspect the original order. Let's break down the surprise. Sort does not create a new array, and assigning an array to another variable does not create a copy, so both names now see the sorted data. Now let's fix it by spreading orders into a new array before sorting. We run it again, and the API order stays untouched while the dashboard gets its own sorted list. Now let's show the best practice. Treat shared arrays as immutable and copy them before calling mutating methods. Use this whenever state cached API data or props might be read somewhere else. A chat screen may show newest messages first, but still need chronological data for export. We assign the messages to a display variable and call reverse. Now we run it to compare both arrays. Let's unpack why both lines changed. The second variable is not a new array and reverse changes its receiver in place, so chronological messages is modified too. Now let's fix the display order by copying the messages first and reversing only that copy. We run the script again and the timeline remains chronological while the UI gets newest first. Now let's show the best practice. Use non-mutating array methods or make a deliberate copy before transforming shared data. For modern runtimes, to reversed is also a clear non-mutating choice. Now let's look at transformation methods that return a value, but not always the value you expected. Checkout pages often map invoice items into readable labels. This callback uses braces but does not return the label, so now we run it and see what map actually collects. Let's break down the result. A callback with braces needs an explicit return, and without one, JavaScript returns undefined, which map places into every slot. Now let's fix the callback by returning the formatted string. We run the same data again, and each invoice item becomes a usable summary label. Now let's show the best practice. Use implicit returns for short mappings, or write an explicit return in block bodies. This makes it obvious what value your transformed array should contain. During authentication, an ID lookup should produce one user or no user. Here filter returns an array, but loose typing lets us read email as if it were a user. Now we run the script and inspect the result. Let's unpack the undefined value. Filter is designed for many matches and always returns an array, while this authentication lookup expects one user at most. Now let's replace filter with find, which returns one matching user or undefined. We add a guard for the missing user case, run the code, and verify both outcomes. Now let's show the best practice. Model expected cardinality clearly. Use find for a 0 or 1 lookup, and reserve filter for cases where your next step truly needs a list of matches. Let's start with a cleanup shortcut that quietly deletes valid data. This bug is common when optional values and real zero values live in the same array. When cleaning analytics data, 0 can be a real event count, not missing data. Here we mix valid 0, false, and empty string values with null and undefined. We use filter will belamen, then run the script and inspect the result. Let's break down why this happened. Boolean treats 0, false, and an empty string as falsy, so the filter removes them too. The shortcut is only safe when every falsy value is genuinely invalid. Now let's fix the predicate. This type guard removes only null and undefined while keeping every other value untouched. We run it again, and the valid falsy values are still there. Now we're showing the best approach. Express exactly which values are invalid. Use an explicit predicate when 0, false, or an empty string can carry real meaning in your app. Next, let's look at a cart check that looks correct but fails after fresh API data arrives. The fields match, but JavaScript is comparing something else. A cart often receives the same product from different API responses. These two products have the same ID and name, so includes feels like the obvious check. We run the script, but the membership check says false. Let's break down the result. Object equality checks whether both variables point to the exact same object in memory. Matching fields are not enough when the objects came from separate responses or separate creations. Now let's fix the cart check with sum. Instead of comparing whole object references, we compare the product IDs, we run it again, and the matching item is correctly found. Now we're showing the best approach. Use stable IDs whenever app data crosses an API or state boundary. Reference equality is useful only when you intentionally need to know whether it is the same object instance. Copying an object with spread syntax is useful, but it has a sharp edge. Nested objects remain shared unless you copy them too. In front-end state, we may want to change one user preference without touching the original user. We create a copy with object spread, update its nested theme, and then run the script. Watch both theme values after the update. Let's break down why the original changed. Spread copied the user object, but it did not clone the nested preferences object. Both variables still reference that same preferences object, so one mutation leaks into the other. Now let's fix the update by copying preferences as well. The new nested object gets the dark theme, while the original nested object stays unchanged. We run the corrected version to confirm it. Now we're showing the best approach. Copy every level that you change. This is especially important in React-style state updates, where shared nested references can create confusing UI bugs. Object spread is also sensitive to order. A safe default can disappear when user options are merged after it. Request configuration often starts with safe defaults, but some fields must never be overridden. Here, user options are spread after those defaults. We run the code, and the required timeout is replaced with 0. Let's break down the merge rule. JavaScript reads this object from top to bottom, and a later property with the same key wins. Spread syntax is predictable, but that means order is part of your configuration logic. Now let's fix the merge. We still allow the user to customize retry behavior, but we assign the required timeout explicitly after both spreads. Run this version, and the production-safe timeout wins. Now we're showing the best approach. Make precedents visible in the object literal. Use explicit assignments after spreads for values such as security flags, required timeouts, and production-only settings. Finally, TypeScript can hide a warning, but it cannot invent missing runtime data. Let's see why a non-null assertion is dangerous for optional profile fields. A profile tagline is optional because not every user writes one. We use a non-null assertion to suppress the TypeScript warning, then call a string method. Now we run the script and hit a runtime error. Let's break down the failure. The exclamation mark tells the TypeScript checker to trust us, but JavaScript receives the same missing value at runtime. Undefined still has no toUpperCase method. Now let's fix the rendering code. Optional chaining calls to uppercase only when a tagline exists, and nullish coalescing supplies a clear fallback otherwise. We run it again, and the profile renders safely. Now we're showing the best approach. Validate optional values at the boundary where you use them. Guards and fallbacks make missing user input safe, while non-null assertions should be reserved for genuine runtime guarantees. Next, let's fix a loop that looks reasonable but adds array indexes instead of quantities. When we sum item quantities before checkout, the result must be a real number. Here we use for in over the quantities array, then run the script and inspect the total. Notice that this loop variable is receiving the array keys, not the quantity values. Let's break down why this happens. For in iterates innumerable property names, and an array's property names are its string indexes, 0, 1, and 2. Adding those strings produces 0, 1, 12 instead of the numeric total. Now let's fix the loop with for of, which gives us each quantity directly. We start from numeric 0, add the values, and run it again. This time the order total is 6. Now we're showing the safer default. Use for of when your work depends on array values. Choose reduce for each or other array methods when they make the intent clearer. And keep for in for object key iteration. Now let's look at a cache bug caused by assuming object keys keep their original type. A record cache can look perfect until IDs arrive in different formats. We save one value under numeric 1 and another under string 1, then run the script. The output shows that only one entry survived. Let's break down the overwrite. A plain object does not preserve number key identity. Property keys are strings or symbols. Both assignments target the same property named string1, so the later value replaces the earlier one. Now let's fix the cache with map. Map keeps numeric 1 and string 1 as different keys, so we can safely store both records. After running this version, the terminal shows two distinct entries. Now we're showing the best choice for dynamic keys. Use map when key identity matters. It is especially useful for mixed key types, predictable iteration, and caches that are updated frequently. Finally, let's protect TypeScript code from malformed data that arrives at runtime. External order data is a runtime boundary, so it can be wrong even in a TypeScript app. Here we cast unknown data to order arrays and format every total, then run the script. The first order works, but the malformed total crashes the next iteration. Let's break down the failure. The as-order assertion only changes what the compiler believes. It does not convert or validate the JSON at runtime. Because the second total is a string, it has no numeric to fixed method. Now let's fix this with a type guard before we process each candidate. The guard checks that the value is an object with a string ID and a numeric total. Then we format valid orders and reject the bad one. Running this version finishes safely and reports the malformed record. Now we're showing the practical rule to treat outside data as unknown until it passes validation. Apply this to network responses, files, databases, and user input before your application relies on their fields. You now know the array and object bugs that quietly break real TypeScript apps. Subscribe for more practical debugging lessons, like the video if one of these mistakes looked familiar, and comment with the TypeScript bug you want us to cover next.